Alphabet earnings are here now. Let's go to Ross Gerber. He's president and CEO at Gerber Kawasaki to go through them. Ross, I just had a long read of the numbers, and the CapEx forecast is what stuck out for me. $175 to $185 billion, whereas the estimate was about 120. How do you think this is going to sit with investors?
Well, if you're like me and you're an investor in Google, and you couldn't be happier. I mean, this is a race to determine AI supremacy for all time. And Google is in some ways an existential threat to its business if it doesn't succeed. And we went from, 2 years ago being very, very concerned about the future of search to the numbers you're seeing today, just still continuing to dominate and grow in search and in AI now. And what it really turns out is that Google's advertising and knowledge system is probably one of the best ways to incorporate commerce in AI, and also just the ecosystem that already exists around Google. So I want them to spend their cash on investment, and I don't want their competitors to get ahead. And we're seeing all the major players investing well over $100 billion, and Google's just saying, look, you're not going to outspend us.
Okay, so let's get to some of the other detailed results here. They had $100 billion in revenue the last quarter, and they came in under that now. 97.23 is what I have. How do you read this?
Well, I don't spend too much time getting into minutia of, what each division did, but their sales were up substantially over last year. And, you're talking double digits growth in a company that's doing $400 billion a year and highly profitable with 31% margins. You just don't get businesses like this. I've been doing this for 32 years, and to grow this fast and be such a big dominant business and also be at the cusp of the three most important places you could be, which is dominating entertainment with YouTube, dominating the future of transportation with Waymo, and then, of course, now not only dominating search, but dominating AI. I mean, what a great business this is. So their numbers are great, and there's no other spin on it. Are they going to spend their money to stay ahead? Absolutely. That's what I want them to do.
Okay, I think you're going to love the Google Cloud revenue number if you haven't seen it already. It's $17.66 billion, so up 48% year over year, and beating the estimate of 16.2. So clearly, they're keeping up in cloud.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. So you've got, like Microsoft and OpenAI, that's pretty legit out there. You've got Anthropic, which they're also invested in, so that works kind of well. They also have an investment in SpaceX, which is now worth over $1 trillion. And so, Google's a way to play the AI economy and the future that no other company has, this diversity of assets. So when you actually just break down the numbers, they're just a phenomenally well-run company. I don't have any negative spin on this. It's a must-own for investors. It's a top holding in my fund, GK. It's a top holding at my firm. And I just haven't seen this kind of dominance since Apple in the earlier days when the iPhone was just going nuts,
All right, let's talk about the deal with Apple, which is going to use their AI in their phones. Are you expecting more partnerships like this for the Gemini product?
I mean, not with phone carriers, but this is a massive thing that Apple just missed the AI boat, and it's just hitching their wagon to Google, which makes Google the sort of operating system of Apple in the future. And Apple, dominates the hardware side of the business, and they basically ceded the software side of the business other than what they're making on the App Store. And so this is another just massive win for Google and Gemini, because we all use iPhones, and it's a global product, and it becomes native to the phone, because Apple Intelligence is like unintelligence. When you hear that sound on your iPhone, it's like, oh my God, this is the worst. Siri is the worst. So once Google really gets in there, it's going to make a dramatically positive difference for Apple as far as having actually a great AI system, and it's just a massive win for Google.
Okay, so let's get to Waymo. I'm wondering what that growth has been like, and what kind of progress they've made there. What do you see?
Well, they just raised at twice the valuation now at over $100 billion. They've got now $16 billion of new fresh capital to put into new vehicles to expand in more cities. I'm a user of Waymo, and I live and work in Santa Monica. So, we are very accustomed to Waymo here. It's much more loved and used than Uber now. And so when you extrapolate this out into cities not only across America but across the world, Waymo is the leader in the robotaxi business right now and will continue to be for some time, as Tesla is still struggling to get their hardware to work with their software. And so, as other players are still behind, they're like all in. So Waymo's numbers are going to continue to grow. It's going to take some investment, as we're seeing, but as I said, we're in this race right now of who's going to dominate autonomy and AI in the future. And in the next 3 to 5 years, that's going to be determined, and then like nobody else. So they're building a moat right here with all this spending, because it basically says, if you're Elon and you're trying to like keep up with Grok and XAI, and you're like, oh, I can only spend 20 or 30 billion, you just can't even hold a torch to the mega, hyperscalers. So that's why he merged it with SpaceX and ultimately Tesla, is because he just needs capital to compete with people like Google.
Okay, let's pull up the after hours trading. I just want to take a look at what investors think, because earlier it was trending down. And I know you're loving what you're seeing with the earnings results, but investors, not as much. So it's down 1% at this point. What do you think they're looking at?
I don't think anybody in the after hours is considered an investor. People who trade in after hours are usually amateur, traders who are on Robinhood or something. So one must never look at after hours trading as some indication of what's going to happen tomorrow. It's just not. That said, Google's been up substantially. Most companies have been rallying into earnings and then selling off. That seems to be the pattern. And Google has a substantially good return over the last 6 and 12 months. I mean, better than any of the Mag 7s, and just a really excellent return, which is great for me. So I don't look at any after hours trades. I if I was going to flip a coin, head says it's going to be up tomorrow.
All right, we'll see. Ross Gerber, thanks for joining us. Ross is president and CEO, Gerber Kawasaki.